In regards to managing your anger, the number one question I often get asked is everyone gets it that you're not supposed to, obviously hurt people with your anger. They get that. But when I'm on talk shows or interviews, I often get call-ins or people, in the audience will say, what about, them expressing their anger at objects? Isn't that going to affect other people? Like, what do they see that? I get that question posed at me a lot. And my response to that is it actually isn't appropriate to do what I call anger work. And anger work is expressing your anger out at objects instead of people. It isn't appropriate to do anger work on objects when another person is present, and it would affect them. It would make them upset. So for example, if you are upset about something, you come home and you go out in the garage and maybe you punch the bag, and that's a really great way to get rid of your frustrations. Maybe your boss yelled at you, or someone cut you off on the way home. It's a really wonderful way to express it. But anger work can actually frighten people. It can make people kind of get turned off, like, oh, I don't like that. So what you have to be careful about is when you're doing your anger work, when you're expressing your anger at an object, it can't traumatize anybody. In this next demonstration, as you're watching it, what's happening is Layla is home, and Elizabeth is coming home after a really tough day. They're roommates, they're in college, they're roommates. And Elizabeth is really upset. She got a poor grade on a test, and then on the way home she got a call from her boyfriend who just basically chewed her out. So she's really angry. And Elizabeth comes home, watch her come home, and she's upset. And she knows it's not appropriate to take her anger out on Layla. But what she's doing is she's taking her anger out on objects. She's throwing things, she's hitting things. Watch her get really upset. And Layla, who's a reserved person, is traumatized by that. So she's like pulling away, and it isn't appropriate. So many of you may have children, and the children may watch you, and they will be traumatized by you expressing your anger. Can I use my own example? Years and years ago, I had a girlfriend, and when I was kind of going through my healing process, I loved the punching bag. And if you meet me, I'm a very gentle, mild person. Well, I was dating this girl, and she came over to my house, and I had the punching bag, and she watched me basically work out, do some anger work on the punching bag, and it kind of, if I can use the phrase, freaked her out, because she'd never seen that part of me before. And so obviously I stopped doing it because I cared for her and didn't want to traumatize her. So you got to be careful. And like in my book, I talk about a man who comes home and he's angry and he has little children and he's punching fridges and he's hurting things, he's putting dents in it, and that's inappropriate. You don't traumatize people by hurting objects where it affects them. And so the key there is nothing wrong with anger, nothing wrong with expressing it, but don't hurt other people with it, don't hurt yourself with it, and don't scare people with your healthy expression of anger. Instead, do anger work, which is taking your anger out on objects, and never hurt other people, including yourself, with your anger.